From countries crippled with debt and violence to countries where 80% of people live below the absolute poverty line, these are the 10 fastest collapsing countries in 2024. Number 10, the United States. It may sound unfathomable to some that the so-called land of opportunity is potentially facing a decline. Yet, beneath the glitzy shell, numerous worrying problems are emerging that hint at serious troubles ahead. Compared to war-torn countries, of course, the United States seems to be standing stronger, at least on the surface. Yet, underneath the facade of stability, it is the nation's economy, division, immigration crisis, and soaring debt problems that are leading many to believe it is on the brink of collapse. In February 2024, Insider Monkey compiled 15 countries with economic growth or debt problems in 2024. The United States came ninth on their list. They attributed this ranking due to the fact that the national debt currently exceeds $34 trillion because of deficit spending, the pandemic, and the issuance of government bonds to finance deficits. They added that the United States government has consistently spent more money than it earns from taxes since 2001. In addition, rising interest rates can increase the cost of servicing the debt, impacting government finances and potentially slowing down economic growth. Another major issue leading many to believe the United States is collapsing is the surge in migrants. In April 2024, BBC News stated that the record surge of illegal border crossings in recent years has made immigration a top voter concern. However, the migrant issue in the United States is not just a source of speculation regarding potential collapse. It is also exacerbating friction between states as they grapple with the consequences of changing demographics and resource allocation. States like Texas have taken drastic measures, such as spending over $148 million to bus migrants to other states to alleviate the pressures on their own infrastructure and services, creating a ripple effect of discontent and logistical challenges in places like New York and Chicago. Meanwhile, states such as Colorado are witnessing a surge in crime waves attributed to the influx of Venezuelan gangs, raising concerns about public safety and community stability. Number 9, Pakistan. Pakistan, a vibrant tapestry of cultures and landscapes, emerged as a distinct nation in 1947 thanks to the tireless efforts of Muhammad Ali Jinnah and countless others who dreamt of a homeland. Nestled between India and Afghanistan, it boasts everything from the towering peaks of the Karakoram to the bustling bazaars of Lahore. However, in recent years, Pakistan has faced its fair share of challenges. Think of it as the country trying to assemble IKEA furniture without the instructions. As a country, Pakistan has struggled on and off for decades. However, in 2023, the conversation around a potential collapse really heated up. In February 2023, The Intercept stated that there were 3 crises intersecting in Pakistan: an economic crisis, a political crisis, and a security crisis. Jump to 2024, and some might say Pakistan is bouncing back from its 2-year slump following political volatility, but others would strongly disagree. Economics Observatory hailed Pakistan the phoenix that never rises, not exactly a crown they will be happy wearing. They claimed that the country's recent election has further eroded trust between citizens and the state, and the economy continues to fall behind its Asian neighbors, with low rates of productivity growth and an unsustainably high burden of external debt. In February 2024, Reuters reported that Pakistan's debt-to-GDP ratio was over 70%, and the IMF and credit ratings agencies estimated that the interest payments on its debt will soak up 50 to 60% of the government's revenues in 2024. Number 8, Ghana. Ghana, known as the Gold Coast before gaining independence in 1957, has a rich history that includes vibrant cultures, ancient kingdoms, and the once thriving transatlantic trade. This West African nation is renowned for its warm hospitality, bustling markets, and the rhythmic beats of high-life music, proof that even in tough times, Ghanaians know how to dance like no one's watching. Yet, Ghana has faced considerable challenges, and as of June 2024, it finds itself in its worst economic crisis in a generation, according to The Conversation. They stated that the past 2 years have seen record high inflation in the country, hitting 54% in 2022. They also added that Ghana's central bank, the Bank of Ghana, has been criticized in some quarters for its role in the country's economic malaise, which has hit the profitability of Ghanaian banks. However, there are steps being made to help this collapsing country. In October 2024, the Financial Times reported that Ghana will depart a debt default after the West African nation completed a restructuring of $13 billion in U.S. bonds, which will hopefully pave the way for a return to global capital markets. While this is positive news, Ghana is still struggling in many ways. As if juggling economic challenges wasn't enough, the country is now grappling with the rise of unlicensed gold mining, where wildcat miners are digging for riches faster than you can say gold fever. These booms, while tempting for those looking for a quick payday, have led to significant environmental damage, according to Reuters, who claim the wildcat gold mining boom is poisoning people and nature. Number 7. Tunisia. Tunisia, the charming North African gem known for its stunning Mediterranean coastline and ancient ruins, has a history that reads like an epic adventure novel. From the magnificent Carthaginian Empire, which gave us Hannibal and his elephants, because why not, to its pivotal role in the Arab Spring, Tunisia has seen its fair share of dramatic plot twists, and according to the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, this vibrant country has been teetering on the brink of crisis for several years. In 2022, CIDOB stated that Tunisia's economy was falling off and becoming less attractive to foreign investors, attributing much of this to the regular downgrading of Tunisian credit by the international rating agencies. Tunisia has also been grappling with a political crackdown. According to Human Rights Watch, in February 2023, a wave of arrests targeted opponents of various political affiliations, activists, lawyers, judges, and the director of a popular radio station, most of whom were accused of conspiracy against state security. This has created a great sense of unease in the country. Moreover, travel to the country has taken a hit over the last few years, with fears of attacks looming large. According to gov.uk, the FCDO advises against all travel to parts of Tunisia, particularly western Tunisia, including the Tunisia-Algeria border. Number 6. Argentina. Argentina, a vibrant tapestry of tango, football, and fine Malbec, has a history as colorful as its famous carnival parades. Following its independence from Spain in 1816, Argentina spent much of the 19th and early 20th centuries hopping from one political upheaval to the next, like a tango dancer avoiding a misstep. With its passionate people, you might say the nation feels things a little more than others. After all, it's hard to argue with a country that's dedicated a national holiday to Dia del Amigo, or Friends Day. However, Argentina is a country that many believe is facing collapse in 2024. According to Economics Observatory, Argentina is teetering on the brink of economic collapse due to a decade of economic stagnation and rising poverty and one of the world's highest inflation rates. According to the Observatory of Social Debt at the Argentine Catholic University, by March 2024, the poverty rate in Argentina had skyrocketed to a staggering 55.5%, while the rate for extreme poverty has risen to a worrying 17.5%, confirming a critical peak of a near doubling in the number of people living in extreme vulnerability. With poverty soaring, crime has also increased. According to the Buenos Aires Times, since the beginning of 2024, crime has picked up in both the capital and the surrounding metropolitan areas of Buenos Aires, with homicides, robberies, and petty thefts all seeing increasing numbers. Number 5. Venezuela. Venezuela, a land of breathtaking landscapes and spectacular natural resources, has experienced a roller coaster ride of highs and lows since it declared independence from Spain in 1821. Picture a nation blessed with oil so plentiful that it was once the envy of many, but unfortunately, instead of using it to cruise smoothly down the highway to prosperity, it feels like they've hit every pothole imaginable along the way. In August 2024, BBC News reported that tensions escalated in Venezuela following a government-controlled electoral authority declaring Nicolás Maduro the winner of the presidential election. This announcement sparked protests and discontent among the populace, leading many to question not just the legitimacy of the elections, but also the future direction of their country, amidst soaring inflation and widespread hardship. BBC News claimed that the election has been described as undemocratic by independent observers, and the result announced by the National Electoral Council has been dismissed as fraudulent by the opposition. In September 2024, Human Rights Watch reported that amidst the crackdown on protesters, Venezuelan authorities are committing widespread human rights violations against protesters, opposition leaders, and even bystanders. As a result of such unrest, many Venezuelans are choosing to flee the country. According to Atlantic Council, more than 7.7 million Venezuelans, which is around a quarter of the population, have left the country since 2014. They added that amid the rise of insecurity in Venezuela, the U.S. and its partners must prepare for a new wave of immigration. Number 4. Burma, or Myanmar. It likely comes as no surprise that Burma, now known as Myanmar, is widely considered to be a country on the brink of collapse, as if it's been holding its breath while waiting for a miracle that's never quite arrived. After gaining independence from British colonial rule in 1948, Myanmar seemed poised for greatness, but instead, it engaged in a long-standing waltz with military dictatorship and civil unrest, hardly the graceful dance one might expect. You might recall that in the 2008 action flick Rambo, our beloved ex-Green Beret took on the villainous military forces with bullets, brawn, and an abundance of one-liners, leading many to wonder, if Rambo can save the day, why can't real life be just as simple? Alas, the harsh reality is that the nation's struggles run much deeper than a Hollywood script, with ongoing conflicts, humanitarian crises, and political oppression overshadowing any action hero fantasies. In December 2023, Rescue.org compiled a list of the top 10 crises the world can't ignore in 2024. Myanmar came fifth on their list. They noted how 18.6 million people in Myanmar are in need of humanitarian assistance, nearly 19 times more than before the military takeover. They added that over 335,000 people have had to flee their homes since the latest escalation began, leaving more than 2 million people displaced across the country. And the horror doesn't end there. Security has rapidly deteriorated in the country, with severe impacts on civilians and their access to basic services and humanitarian aid. On top of this, they stated that climate change means that communities in Myanmar are exposed to more frequent natural hazards, particularly cyclones. Number 3. Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, a landlocked gem in West Africa, has had more twists and turns than a traditional African dance. Originally known as Upper Volta during French colonization, the country gained independence in 1960 and has since been a dazzling tapestry of ethnic diversity, vibrant culture, and that undeniable West African joie de vivre. With a name that translates to the land of upright people, one might assume that this nation is perpetually standing tall, but history has shown it has often been caught in the fray of political upheavals and struggles for democracy. In June 2023, Burkina Faso topped the Norwegian Refugee Council's list of the world's most neglected displacement crises, leading many to reflect on the dire humanitarian issues that have plagued the nation. They claimed that redirection of aid and attention toward Ukraine has increased neglect of some of the world's most vulnerable people in Burkina Faso. In September 2023, Burkina Faso came fourth on Rescue.org's list of the top 10 crises the world can't ignore in 2024. They stated that Burkina Faso is facing rapidly growing and spreading violence as the Burkina military struggles to contain armed groups. They added that half of the country is now outside government control, with armed groups including Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, ISGS, and Jama'at Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, JNIM, blockading cities and towns and preventing residents from accessing basic goods and services. According to World Bank, over 40% of the population lives below the national poverty line in Burkina Faso. Number 2. South Sudan. South Sudan, the world's youngest nation, has a history that could fill volumes of adventurous tales and diplomatic dramas. Emerging as an independent country in 2011, after decades of conflict and struggle, South Sudan's creation was celebrated with exuberance, marking the end of a long and arduous chapter of North-South civil strife. However, this triumph quickly met a sobering reality. The exuberance faded as the country grappled with internal conflict, political power struggles, and ongoing humanitarian crises that have long cast shadows over its nascent government. Once hailed as a beacon of hope for self-determination, South Sudan has since been regarded by many as a collapsing nation. In July 2024, United Nations stated that 13 years since becoming an independent state, South Sudan faces profound humanitarian challenges, and humanitarian aid alone cannot untangle the intricate web of challenges the country faces. In December 2023, Rescue.org stated that 2024 would mark a huge challenge for South Sudan as the war across the border in Sudan threatens to undermine South Sudan's fragile economy and worsen political tensions. They also added that 9 million people in South Sudan are in need of humanitarian assistance, amounting to 72% of the population. As with any country that grapples with these issues, crime and poverty is rife. According to ReliefWeb, the majority of the population of South Sudan live in severe poverty, and an estimated 80% live below the absolute poverty line. In terms of crime, the rates are extremely high and ever increasing. According to OC Index, millions of South Sudanese have left the country due to violent conflict, and the country is both a source and destination country for human trafficking, with its citizens and foreign nationals being victims of forced labor, domestic servitude, early marriage, and sexual exploitation. Number 1. Sudan. Sudan, a country nestled in the heart of Africa, boasts a rich tapestry woven from millennia of history, vibrant cultures, and, let's face it, a fair share of challenges. From the ancient kingdoms of Nubia to the more recent tumult of civil wars and political upheaval, Sudan has certainly experienced its fair due of drama. In 1956, Sudanian independence made it a player on the global stage, but since then, it has navigated a tumultuous journey through colonial legacies, the North-South Civil War, and the secession of South Sudan in 2011. The landscape is as diverse as its history, with the Nile River snaking gracefully through its deserts, while its various ethnic communities contribute rich traditions and dialects. Sadly, in 2024, Sudan still faces many glaring issues. In April 2024, the International Rescue Committee stated that the country is in crisis due to escalating conflict, mass displacement, an economic crisis, and a near collapse of healthcare services. In February 2024, Insider Monkey placed Sudan first on their list of 15 countries with economic growth or debt problems in 2024. They noted how the country is struggling because of its political instability, civil war, and the effects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. They also added that Sudan's GDP growth rate has been low, with a contraction of 1.9% in 2021 and a growth of 0.7% in 2022. Lastly, in 2023, it was reported that 52.3% of the population in Sudan is multidimensionally poor, while an additional 17.7% is classified as vulnerable to multidimensional poverty. What about the 10 fastest collapsing big cities in the United States?